This episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast is brought to you by the Recruiting Life newsletter. Keep up with what's happening now and what's coming next in the world of work. Subscribe now at newsletter.jimstroud.com. That's newsletter.jimstroud.com. You know, there are times when you read an article or you see something online and it just sort of slaps you across the face. Not literally, of course, but figuratively. Well, I had a face-slapping experience when I read something that was said by the CEO of Indeed. He was talking about AI and how people were rightfully concerned about its impact on the world of work. But then he went into this thing where he talked about how AI wasn't really what we should be worried about. And then he laid out an argument that was very interesting to me. And I imagine to everyone else in the audience who was listening to his comments. And he put AI, I think, as the number 2 threat, existential threat to the world. And you think, okay, what could displace AI? Because AI is definitely making an impact on everything. Well, okay, enough suspense. I'll just tell you. There's a particular silence that comes before something breaks. You felt it. The held breath before a diagnosis, the stillness in a house after the argument, but just before the door slams. That specific quality of air, dense, expectant, wrong. The global labor market has that same feeling right now, and almost no one is listening to it. We are a civilization that has become very good at panicking about the spectacular, the dazzling threat, the photogenic catastrophe. So when artificial intelligence arrived, sleek, fast, everywhere, we knew exactly how to perform our fear. Headlines, Senate hearings, think pieces stacked on top of think pieces like pancakes. The robots are coming. The robots are coming. The algorithms will swallow your job whole. The machine doesn't need a salary or a sick day. And maybe some of that fear is even justified. Maybe. But here's what's happening in the meantime. In the absence of our attention, the world is quietly running out of people. Not metaphorically, not philosophically. Actually, physically, mathematically running out of the people who hold things together. The people whose hands fix what breaks, who rewire what goes dark, who shows up in person, in the cold, in the heat, and makes civilization work. I want you to picture something. A Wednesday morning, a pipe burst inside your kitchen wall. Water is moving through the drywall like something living, something with its own slow intentions. You grab your phone, you call a plumber, and then you wait. And you wait. And you wait. You wait days because the plumber you called is 61 years old and his body can only do so much And the apprentice he trained retired last year. And the new kid, if there even is one, has a wait list 3 weeks long. This isn't a hypothetical, people. This is the country we are building right now through a combination of willful blindness and misplaced anxiety. The shortage of skilled tradespeople is already costing the American economy over $1 billion. That's with a B. $1 billion a year in plumbing alone. Think about that. That's not a projection. That's not a warning. A present tense wound, bleeding quietly while we debate the existential threat of a chatbot. Last month, the CEO of Indeed, the man who arguably sees more of the global labor market than anyone else alive, stood at an economic summit and said something that landed like a stone dropped into still water. He said, "We are panicking about the wrong thing. That the aging labor force, not artificial intelligence, is the most urgent economic threat of our time." He cited internal research suggesting America could face a shortfall of 20 million workers over the next 50 years. 80% of that gap, he argued, comes from demographics. Only 20% from automation. Now, that specific number is hard to verify against any government data I tried. The Bureau of Labor Statistics actually projects modest job growth over the next decade. But the architecture of the threat, the underlying anatomy of it, that is not in dispute. Labor force participation is projected to fall steadily through 2034. Not because people are being replaced, but because they are retiring. Because the baby boomer generation, the largest workforce cohort in American history, is walking out the door, and we have not prepared for the silence they will leave behind. There is something almost geological about demographic change. It doesn't announce itself. It accumulates slowly. The way sediment builds, the way coastlines shift, and then suddenly one day you look up and boom, the landscape is unrecognizable. Japan, they saw it coming because they looked up first. For 30 years, Japan has been living in what demographers politely call a super-aged society. Their old age dependency ratio, the number of seniors for every 100 working age adults, sits above 50. Imagine carrying that weight. More than half a retiree for every single worker. Germany is nearly 37, the UK 31, the United States 28 and climbing. Now Japan, to its credit, found a lever to pull. Between 1990 and today, it dramatically increased female workforce participation from 50% to nearly 56%. And in doing so, grew its total labor force by over 5 million people, offsetting a birth rate that had collapsed to catastrophic lows. 5 million people materialized through a cultural and policy shift holding back the tide. But here's where the American version of the story turns cold. We cannot do that. Our female labor force participation rate was already comparable. In fact, it has slightly declined since 1990. We have no equivalent reservoir, no hidden demographic we can invite into the workforce and reverse the math. And AI cannot save us from this particular reckoning. Not for this. Construction, electrical work, building maintenance, protective services. These sectors have roughly 20% exposure to automation. You cannot prompt your way through a building inspection. You cannot run a large language model through a flooded crawl space. The work, this particular work, requires a body, a presence, a set of hands that have learned over years what it feels like when something is wrong. The construction industry alone needs 349,000 net new workers this year. This year, not in some projected future, now. And the electrician shortage, 81,000 new openings every single year for the next decade. Most of them not new jobs, but replacements for people who have already given what they had and are finally going home into retirement. I keep thinking about what it means to watch the wrong horizon. We are very busy staring at the dazzling, terrifying, speculative threat of machines becoming too capable. And it's a real conversation. I won't deny that. It's certainly worth having. But while we stare at that horizon behind us in the ordinary, unglamorous architecture of daily life, the scaffolding is quietly, steadily coming apart. The World Economic Forum put it bluntly. In aging societies, the deeper challenge is not too many workers, it is too few. Too few people to wire the hospitals. Too few to frame the houses. Too few to do the work that doesn't photograph well, that doesn't trend on social media, that doesn't generate think pieces, but that makes the rest of everything possible. The silence I mentioned at the beginning, that particular weighted pre-breaking silence, it has a name now. It's called a dependency ratio. It's called a participation rate. It's called a birth rate that has been falling for decades in every developed nation on earth. It's not loud. It's not spectacular. It will not arrive in a press release. But it is coming. The way all geological things come. Patient. Indifferent to whether we were paying attention or not. The question is not whether the machines will take our jobs. No. The question is whether there will be enough of us left to do them. You have been listening to the Jim Stroud Podcast, a proud member of the Purple Acorn Network. If you like what you heard, hate what you heard, or don't know what you just heard, I want to know about it. Email your questions and comments to podcast@jimstroud.com. That's podcast@jimstroud.com. Do it now. Operators are standing by. Well, that's it for now. I'll be back later right here with a brand new episode. So until then, bye-bye.